Okay, we're here with Carl Buchanan, General Manager of the Cary Lifetime Fitness, and Jennifer Whitworth, the Spa Manager at the Cary Life Spa. You know, Carl spoke about 100 days of soldiering and gave an example of a true success story. So with us today, we have that true success story. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Carl Buchanan and his true success story of what 100 days of soldiering can do.
Thanks, Derek. I guess what I want to do is just ask Jen a couple questions and let her tell everyone from the actual department head standpoint what 100 days was for her. So, Jen, when I first introduced 100 days of soldiering to you guys, what's the first thing that popped through your mind?
The first thing actually was fear, to be honest with you. Obviously, when a GM leaves and a new one comes on, there's all the questions and the concerns about how the group's going to run and just the processes that we already had set in place. Then when you started talking about culture change and what you wanted to see, and pretty much came in with an iron fist, and there was some fear. And I'll never forget the first conversation that you and I had, that I was on the list because my numbers weren't showing. I was improving a little bit, but wasn't improving enough, and you pretty much told me that I had a week to turn around or I was going to lose my job. That put a fear in me, that put a fire under me, and I just started seeing things in a whole new light after that. Just communicating with you more and just communicating with my whole team actually more of what I needed to do, and honestly it was not easy. And you and I have talked too, but it wasn't easy because every day you were literally on my ass. To the point where other DHs were actually coming up to me asking me how much more I could take of this. And I'm a fighter, I'm a competitor, I love a challenge. This was a challenge, but I didn't give up. And I'm the type of person also too that I also like to prove myself, and I always like to show what I can do. And the one day that I actually remember, it was not even our one-on-one, but it was me going into your office asking you questions about everything. And I'll never forget this, that when you ever told me that you were proud of me, I knew I got there. And honestly, I get kind of choked up thinking about it, because this is not just in this type of meeting, whatever, but I've had mentors in my life, and I've had people affect me in a certain way, and I have to tell you that you're on the top of my list for one of my mentors. And I really appreciate everything you've done for me.
Well, thank you.
And my team. So,
as you went through the 100 days of soldiering and you look back at that process, for the group, all the department heads, what were they feeling in this?
well, I can't speak for everybody, honestly, but I know some of the people that were definitely on board, because in the beginning a lot of people were afraid, and then we do talk to each other because we're not just department heads, but we are friends. Sometimes that was a good thing, sometimes that was a bad thing, because it got to the point where you knew the people that wanted to stay on the bus, and then the ones that were having issues with it are the ones that started causing some problems to try to hurt the rest of us. And that became the whole trust level, and you knew who to trust, you knew who to talk to, but plain and simple, the ones that were having problems or couldn't handle it, like you always say, they put their fists up. Those are the ones that you knew that weren't going to stay, and then the ones that you can trust, they're obviously still here also too.
We talk about a culture shift and how the only thing that can change culture is leaders. In this 100 days of soldiering, when did you see the culture really starting to shift in this 100 days? Was there any distinct phases that you, what were those phases?
Obviously one, it started right off the bat with one of our DHs leaving, and then it was kind of like a battle back and forth for a little while. But for me personally, the shift started changing for me when we got rid of our operations DH. It's because you're comfortable with something, you feel like you can do something, you feel like you go through every day and what you're doing is correct, but if you're not willing to change or stay on the bus, as we called it, there's not much more you can do.
Right.
And when that happened, I personally knew right there and then that you know, this is the change, this is the culture, this is what we're looking at. And then for me personally, when I called you and I hit 96%, and I called you and you're like so thrilled about that because that was the highest I did. And then the next month when I actually hit over 100%, that's when I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm like, I totally got this. But just changing with my team and getting them on board and just, you know, having them thrive, it's been an all-around culture for everybody.
So in soldiering, this 100 Days of Soldiering, when did you see people go from doing this to doing this and saying, we want to, I mean, was there a time period in there that you noticed that people just said, okay, we're going to make this thing?
Probably about, after about 2 months, I'd say after about 60 days around there. Because obviously they're still feeling you out in the beginning.
Right.
And they're still trying to make the change, but obviously there's bumps in the road. But I'd probably say after a good 2 months is when we started to put our fist down and kind of sit back and say, okay, this is the ride that we want to be on.
So if you had anything to say to general managers or just any leaders that say, man, can I really do this 100 days? If you had to give them a warning up to this 60-day part, if you had to say, you know, warning, 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 what would that warning be up to that 60-day mark? I mean, how would you just, what would you tell them?
I mean, obviously there's so many personalities in your group, in your DH pool, as well as all the team members. There's so many personalities. So you're gonna get the who's gonna stab me in the back. You're gonna get the gossip. You're gonna get you know, people crying. You're gonna get people, you know, quitting or just retaliating, that type of thing. And it's, for me, it was a little bit hard in the beginning because, you know, we are kind of close. It was kind of hard in the beginning, but then after a while, it's not so much of a personality, friendship type of thing. It's a business. And this is the way you want to run your business. This is the way that, you know, we're looking for the future, and this is the goal that we want and the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So, I mean, you're the general, you know, that's why they call them general managers, I guess. You're the general leading the troops, and, you know, you're going to take casualties. You have to take casualties, and you just have to know that there's going to be somebody out there that's willing to get you back and go right along with you.
Okay, so we went through 100 days at the department head level, the leader level. Tell us how you took the 100 days and the leader level and drove that down to your team members.
Honestly, leading by example, obviously, because if I'm going to be held accountable for my numbers in my department, my team members are going to be held accountable for what they do in the spa.
Right.
I had people that put their fists up and kind of gave me some slack, and I let them go and made the decision to let a few go. I made a decision to bring more on. I kind of broke out of the mold of, okay, this is how many people I actually need to compare to this is how many people I want compared to what I'm looking for. So I basically just kind of broke out of the mold that I was used to, and I started thinking outside the box. And the same way, if I had people bringing me down, then I try to coach them, you know, trying to lead them to the direction. And if they weren't willing to do that, then I just kind of, here's the door, you know, good luck in the future, that type of thing.
So you were able to take the same concepts, you were able to see the same thing, people putting their fist up 30, 60 days, and drive that down to the level that, you know, your team member level. You're able to do that.
Yes, and obviously, the minute like I saw a change, I'm very positive with them. I'm like congratulating them, you know, and then, you know, it's more discipline too, but I wanted to compliment them too, because it is them. You
Sure.
know, all in all, it is them that's helping me. And then just the more I improve, the more they see, and obviously it's helping them too, because their numbers are improving too. So we're kind of
Right.
all good all around.
All right, Jill, let's talk about your people. In the spa, every day you deal with a unique group of team members. How did you actually take the science behind the 100 Days of Soldiering and drive that down to a unique group that really is the art. They tend to have a little bit different personalities. Tough thing to do. How'd you do that?
Well, let me get back to with 100 days. I can answer that in two ways. I had you, obviously, for 100 Days of Soldiering, but then I also have corporate, like Chris Amat,
Right.
too, because I'm one of the spas that were in a turnaround program. So with that, I was actually kind of comparing myself to two people, not just one. And looking at that, I basically just went to my people and said, okay, I have to hire more people because I need more stylists or I need more massage therapists on because this is the goal that we're going for. The ones that kind of looked at me like, we're not even booked now, what do you mean why you're hiring more people? And I said, well, this is your means that you need to get out there, you need to market yourself, you need to schedule yourself, you need to have the bookings afterwards for the retention. The ones that didn't get that, obviously the ones that left, but it was more of holding them accountable, holding them as a marketing piece, showing them their numbers on our one-on-ones, like almost every week, showing them where they've grown and, obviously when they get their paycheck. And the people that complain are the ones that are kind of sitting back and not really doing anything to help themselves. And the ones that are flourishing are the ones that are out in the spa, outside the spa doors, going into the locker rooms, going upstairs, doing chair massages. They get it. And then other people are seeing what they're doing and they're getting it now too. So it was a little bit of a battle to get them outside the spa into the club, but that's what it's all about.
Every answer that you've given has said, there's been one word in it that's been in every answer.
And what's that?
Accountability.
Accountability. It's true. It's accountable.
So it's accountable from the department heads, and it's accountability for holding your individual team members to that.
I mean, I'm there to run the business. I'm there to get the supplies. I'm there to make sure that they're there. I cannot get the people in the chairs. I can only give them the marketing pieces.
Right.
It's up to them. And that's another mold I finally broke. It's not my responsibility, so to speak, for me to get them in the chairs or in the massage rooms. It's them getting outside and showing what they can do to get them to keep coming back.
Right.
And that's been a huge change,
Excellent. You mentioned the pride that you have in now seeing that all the way down to your individual team members. Take the big picture of 100 days, going from just absolutely thinking, man, am I going to make it another day, to now. And if you had to sum it all up and say, wow, this is the end result, what's the end result?
Well, there's two end results, actually. One end result that I'm always still proud of is my contribution margin and what I give back, because I don't think that's happened in Cary yet. The other result is the first time since I've worked here, I've heard about bonuses. And by George, my first bonus. And I know it's not going to be my last. And it's very rewarding to me knowing that with my team and the difference in their paychecks, I'm also getting a difference in my paycheck, as well as giving some back to the club. So it's like a triangle contribution for everybody.
Awesome. So you went from wanting to kill me to
tall and, no, I'm just kidding. A private joke there. But then, even having corporate, with the turnaround spas and everything too, and even having the support from corporate, knowing that if we hit a certain goal that, they're looking out for us too. So I don't feel like I'm just in club, I'm feeling like it's the whole lifetime. So
Awesome.
I have to tell you, I'm pretty proud to be an employee at Lifetime Fitness.
Awesome for you. Thanks.